This is Behind the Verdict. I'm John Horford with Marion Cook and our other host, Christina Capron Horford.
I got my last name this time.
Yep. We're just switching it up every episode because you're actually going to be a host now. So today we're discussing a case that you actually brought up to me before anyone else did. And then you also had people in the class that you were teaching at MSU bring up to you, correct?
Yeah, I was teaching a class on forensic interviewing, not at MSU. But
okay, got you. But with MSU students or something like that? Or was it just there? Was it just students? Why did I think MSU?
It might have been it was in East Lansing.
Oh, it was in East Lansing. Okay, so East Lansing, MSU, they're just synonymous with each other.
I get it.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Yes, so it came up multiple times. So we're like, we have to talk about Gabby Petito, right? And what happened to her.
Yeah.
And if the person who allegedly, he admitted to it.
There's no allegedly.
Yeah.
He did it, and he confessed to it, but in a different way.
But is he alive still?
We're going straight in.
No, we'll get there. Where do you want to start? How did they meet? Why did they love each other?
I don't know.
I don't remember how they met, but I do know that she was living somewhere on the East Coast with her family, and she met him. And she just one day came home and said, I'm moving to Florida with Brian. And they lived with his parents, I believe. And she had a hard time making friends and being away from her family when they started their relationship. A lot of her friends came forward and said Brian Laundrie was pretty controlling. He didn't like her to hang out with friends, didn't like her to do things without him. I mean, that's a classic pattern of domestic violence starting with me. When I hear those types of things, isolation and controlling behaviors and all those things. But this was a couple who decided they were going to take a small van and do a blog. I think she was calling it the van life or something. Is that right, Christina?
Yeah.
Did you follow it before?
No, it didn't really. It didn't blow up. She only released one video, and it didn't really blow up until after she went missing.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But I mean, one video, it's not really gonna.
So they took off from Florida and went out west. They were going to Yellowstone and other national parks out there. And she was recording videos and little blurbs and blogs. But along their route, they had been fighting. She had told some family members, or a friend, I think it was, she told a friend that they weren't getting along and she didn't know how long this was going to last. But at one point, they were at, I think it was a grocery store. And the video shows them getting out of the van. She gets out and is walking in, and he gets out and slams the door. And then they go to a restaurant shortly thereafter, and they get into a fight, and they leave. But an independent eyewitness calls 911 and says, I just saw this guy get into a white van with this young blonde girl, and he was slapping her across the face before they got in the van. And she was crying and telling him no, and he was slapping her. So the police find the van. They pull them over, and for some stupid ass reason, they buy his story, don't they?
Yep.
He tells them that she was going crazy, that she's got some, I think he called them mental issues or some issues where she just loses control and he has to let her. And she did classic domestic violence type behavior. She said, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I pushed him. And not physically pushed him. She means I pushed him because I'm really OCD and I wanted the van clean and I got all upset. And she had marks on her, and he, I think, had one scratch on his face. But because he had the scratch on his face and she said it was her fault, they believed him.
Is that common for law enforcement, though, if they see those types of situations and you don't know the full story and you see a little bit of damage on both sides, and then there's one party, even though they seem distressed, that's admitting to doing or to starting the fight, to being the reason why the fight happened? Is that common for law enforcement to just accept that?
Not in the way that they did it. They called somebody else in, and they had somebody else, another deputy, come to the scene and talk to her. They actually took her out, let her sit in their car, not because she was under arrest, but because it was air conditioned and it was super hot where they were. And she said she's crying hysterically, I want to call my mom. and they let her call her mother and so she got to tell her mom what was happening. But what was really weird to me is one of the deputies said something to the effect of, yeah, my wife gets that way too.
Oh, God. He slaps her around.
And sort of this good old boy behavior. And they separated the two for the night. They told Gabby to take the van and go sleep in the van. And they gave Brian a ride to a hotel that is free for victims of domestic violence. So he got to stay in a hotel with running water and cable TV and all the things. And she had to go sleep in the van feeling like all of this was her fault.
I think she picked him up at like midnight, or like they didn't stay separate.
They didn't stay separate. Long. I think she went I don't know. Did she stay at the hotel or did she just pick him up in the van?
I think they left, yeah. I think.
But if you haven't seen that video, because they did release the police body cam from that, you need to watch it. It is, I don't know what word to put in. Cringy is the best word I can come up with.
How long is it?
It's not terribly lengthy. Maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, if 10 that. Minutes. Oh, I was going to be like, Alex, can you throw this in here? 10 minutes is probably a little long, but.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Well, you have a witness call and say, I saw a woman get slapped and she's crying. And then you pull the car over and she's crying. And then you're like, it's her. She's the abuser.
But she said, and of course, like you're saying, that's like classic victim.
It's classic victim mentality that she's taken responsibility for his actions.
Yes.
She doesn't want him to get in trouble because he'll be more mad at her if he gets in trouble for it. But here's the thing. Law enforcement had an independent eyewitness. We don't get those very often, ever. Rarely, right? So they should have taken that independent eyewitness and said, you slapped her. I don't care if she pushed your buttons. I don't care if she told you to clean that damn van. You slapped her in public. We have an independent eyewitness. And even if Gabby said he didn't, they had witnesses who said he did.
Or it was her fault. He still slapped her.
But did he even deny that he slapped her, though? Or because it seemed like there was,
I thought he did. I thought he denied it. And then they said, well, somebody saw it. And he goes, no, I was just pushing her back from me. But this witness was really clear on 911.
Yeah, a slap and a push are pretty different.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, slap and push are pretty different. Mm-hmm. He had a scratch on his face, so she probably did scratch him. He obviously was hitting her. She's probably trying to defend herself. But then how hard would it be? I mean, it sounds like a difficult situation for law enforcement, though. If the guy has a mark on his face, and this woman is saying, yeah, I lose it sometimes. It was my fault. I did it. I know that it's classic victim mentality. But as a law enforcement officer who's just handling like a case, even though you do have the independent eyewitness, are they trained to handle those situations?
They are trained. They are trained to look at that. They're trained to look at who upped the ante. So maybe there was a mutual, you push me, I push you. That's a mutual, right? But if you then elevate that instigation to hitting, that's different. And they are trained to look at that.
So what happens when they both hit each other?
Well, then you have to look at, did someone escalate it further? If I push you and then you haul off and beat the tar out of me and punch me in the face multiple times, that's escalating the violence, right? If I slap your arm once to get it away from me, that's one thing. And then you just come at me with everything you have, break my arm, black my eyes, that's different.
Yeah.
But any law enforcement member that I have talked to that's looked at that video of them on the side of the road all felt law enforcement did not do the right thing. There was an internal investigation with those police, and I believe they were fired.
Or moved down the street to another department.
They did.
Probably.
But they were fired from that one.
Yeah.
Jesus. Sorry, that's not funny, actually.
Yeah. So then what happens next in this case?
I don't remember how many days between that incident, I don't think it was very long, that suddenly, because she had been really good about staying in contact with her mom and her family. And then the mom got these really weird texts that said something to the effect of, Stanley is texting me, or I'm getting text for Stanley again. Can you tell him to stop? Stanley is Gabby's grandpa. And the mom said she never called him by his first name. She always called him grandpa. So what I think happened is he murdered her, but he wanted to make it seem like everything was still okay because he didn't know what to do. So he took her phone and texted the mother.
Why would he say that of all the things you could choose to say?
Because he probably calls the grandpa Stanley and didn't think twice about, I'm doing this from her voice.
Yeah, so he's really dumb too.
Well, he is really dumb.
Didn't he send out texts like, sorry, like in a park, national park, no service or something?
Yeah, they said that a couple times.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because there were people, and I want to say, was it Yellowstone or was it a different park? Do you remember?
I feel like it was Utah. Was it not? They were all over the place, but
I don't remember. But
maybe it was Yellowstone actually.
So he parked the van and then went for this incredibly long hike.
Teton National Forest in
Yes.
Wyoming.
Teton.
And then he went on this incredibly long hike by himself and got picked up miles away from the van by two different people. And when they said, well, we'll drive you to your campsite, it's really hot out here. And he was like, no, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then he then gets in the van and drives back to Florida to his parents' house. The van's in Gabby's name. No Gabby. Nobody's heard from her. He never calls to say, hey, she's missing.
Right.
It's her mom, dad, stepmom, and stepdad, who all get along really well, called the police and said, our daughter is missing. We can't reach her. We need someone to investigate. And this became kind of a really weird jurisdictional thing because they lived in Florida. The parents were somewhere on the East Coast, maybe Massachusetts, Connecticut. I can't remember exactly. And then this happened, where was it? Wyoming. So they needed law enforcement officials in all of those areas to kind of get involved. Right?
In Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they go to the home, there's Gabby's van, but the parents won't let them in to talk to Brian. Why not?
And then there were strange messages. You were talking about, both of you had mentioned messages from the mom to Brian.
Notes, right?
Yeah.
Were they notes?
It was a letter.
A letter.
A letter the mom wrote to Brian that basically said, if you get arrested, I'll bake a cake and put a file in it. I'll help you hide a body. I'll help you do whatever. You're my son and I love you forever, blah, blah, blah. I think he got home, no Gabby. The parents had to ask, where is she? Mm-hmm. I think he admitted it to his parents. And they kept law enforcement at bay saying, oh, he's not here right now. He'll be back later. And he took off. And it was weeks, I think, before they really realized he wasn't there anymore.
He wasn't there, and then he died, supposedly, and they said that they ran dental records, and they matched his.
Yes.
But also...
So what actually happened here?
I was just going to say, also, they did a search party for, like, a long time looking for him, and then the first day that his parents come to help search for him, they find him within like an hour.
They went into this swampy trail. I don't know if it was a campground, but it was a swampy walking trail kind of deal that the walking trails weren't clearly marked. You could go out through this national forest area or whatever it was. And it was somewhere I think the family had gone camping before. But yeah, they had volunteers, they had law enforcement, they had canine searchers out there, the whole 9 yards. Nobody found anything until his dad walked out. And if I'm walking straight on these paths, the dad veers off to the right, goes through some brush, comes to a clearing. Oh, there's a little lake, swampy kind of deal. Oh, look, there's his backpack. Oh, look, there's some details. And the backpack he had actually had like a Ziploc bag with a diary in it that allegedly talked about how it really happened. There were letters in there from him to maybe family and maybe to Gabby.
And those letters admitted that he killed her.
In a diary, he admitted that they were camping or hiking and that they were in a creek or near a creek and the rocks were slippery and that Gabby fell and got hurt so badly she wasn't going to survive.
So he put her out of her misery.
So he put her out of her misery and left her there in the woods and took off. But her family, after this case was all done, after they found Brian, went out there to scatter her ashes at her last known site. And they showed that creek. This was a little creek. Like if you stepped in it with your shoe, it probably wasn't going to cover the top of your shoe. It wasn't going to go more than your ankle, maybe.
Was it dry season, though?
No. No, there was a little bit of water in there. But it's the same amount from when they went the same time of year,
Okay.
was the point of it.
Gotcha.
And I don't know how someone falls and gets that far gone, claims that she hit a bunch of rocks. They showed the rocks in that area. They're like pebbles. They're not anything big.
So he admits to killing her, but he said he did it to be compassionate.
Yes. Doesn't call for help. doesn't alert
Right.
where her body is.
Right.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah,
Which is just crazy.
it is.
Yeah.
He also used her credit cards to pay for the gas to get back to Florida.
Jesus.
Oh my God. Good guy.
Yeah,
Real good guy.
yeah.
But circling back to what you said
About the dental record.
yeah,
Yes.
but wasn't when they found him with the bag and stuff, wasn't it literally just like skull? Like, do bodies actually decompose that fast?
So this is an area that was infested with like alligators and other things.
So possibly.
So possibly. And it had been, I don't remember if it was weeks or months that he was missing. Do you remember?
I don't think it was months. I feel like
So-
it was.
A series of weeks. But it's Florida. It's hot. It's
Yeah.
humid. The theory that they put forward was he committed suicide because he just couldn't live without her.
Did they find his whole body though?
I think they found parts of it.
So how could they not just do a DNA test on?
Did they
what-
do dental records? Is that
Yeah,
how
they
they?
did.
They
that's
did
how I-
match
And
his
it
dental
matched.
records.
So
Okay.
what did he do
But
to get that?
was someone in his family a dentist?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I don't remember either. You probably have gone down a lot of TikTok rabbit holes
No, I'm reading articles on TikTok.
on TikTok. Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know that they found a
I don't know
gun-
either. I'm not sure.
A gun in his
Oh,
backpack. So how did he commit suicide?
strangled himself.
He's-
He fell on
Sorry.
some rocks in the creek,
yes.
Yeah.
Some pebbles.
some pebbles, and let himself die.
Some
Yeah.
pebbles. So why were they good with like, okay, yeah, this matches, like we're good
Right.
to go?
I don't
Because
think they
maybe the
had any-
confession letter, maybe they like had what they needed to close the case. I feel like that's a lot of the motivation for investigators. Sometimes they want to close the case and
I don't think they had
you
anything
wanna
more
do
to
it
go
right.
on.
right, because you have DNA match and then you have
So why do
a
you
confession.
think, both of you think that the mom helped him get away
Yep.
outside of that letter? Why do you think that?
I think that because he came home without her, they didn't report it. You know, when Casey Anthony came home without Kaylee, the mom was like, "Damn it, I'm calling the police," and called immediately.
And the mom didn't, their son was missing for a while and they didn't report it?
Well, no, before that, he comes home with the van, no Gabby.
Oh,
Nobody
they
reports
don't
Gabby.
Report that.
Yeah.
They don't call
Yeah.
her family and say, "Brian just came home. Is Gabby there?"
right.
They don't do anything.
They won't even
And
talk
then-
to him.
No, they wouldn't. They refused to talk to her parents. They refused to give her parents her personal items that were at their house.
Yeah.
So I also think that, you know, media's camping out at their house now. Law enforcement's there. They seize the van. They do all those things. And suddenly the parents won't have anything to do with law enforcement. They won't cooperate. They won't tell him where he is. And they hired an attorney right off the bat. And I think they helped him escape.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. They had the time to do it and they were protecting him.
Is it that easy though to
Probably.
escape?
Yeah.
Are they rich? Probably not. He's
It didn't
using his
look like
he's
it.
using his girlfriend's
have to be
credit
rich?
cards to get out cleanly.
To get a fake ID and leave? I don't
He
think so.
basically was
Probably.
taking.
Didn't you watch Breaking Bad? How much did they have to pay to restart their lives? A lot.
But what they all claimed was that they had gone survivalist camping in the family a lot. They would go out to this place where he went, and that's what they claimed he did. He just went out and lived off the land
Yeah.
for a period of time.
So is
Yeah.
that what he's doing now? Where is he? Where do we
Potentially.
think he is?
I don't know, just out of the country.
I mean, I feel like
But where'd they get the? I don't know. I don't know if that was him. I kind of think it was him. I think he wasn't man enough to own up to what he did,
So he killed himself.
so he killed himself instead of going to prison. Instead of admitting what happened.
wait. So you think he did kill himself?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I thought you said you thought he was alive still.
No, nope. I never said that.
Oh.
I totally thought you did, but
Yeah, I did too.
because I was like, yup.
I really thought yes. Okay, we both.
No,
thought
because
Or
you
maybe she
did.
was just saying the theory. Of
That was a theory people
Yeah.
had thrown
Oh,
out there
okay.
that he had escaped
You
and
think
went
he
somewhere
is
else.
dead?
I do. I mean, where are they going to get a skull and dental records?
That's what I'm. That's the. I was asking that. I was just like, oh, if you think he got away, please explain how the.
No, there's a lot of crazy theories out there about other things that may have happened. But I think the family helped him escape initially,
Yeah.
and then he went out into the woods.
So is that justice served in the sense that he killed himself? Like,
No.
is that
No, it's not, because the family will never know what truly happened to her. The bullshit he put in that letter isn't true.
he
He
killed
spun
her.
that. You
but
know he did.
he killed her though. How he killed her? Like he killed her. Maybe he really did strangle her. Maybe he just got pissed off and strangled her, but the rest of the story wasn't true.
Well, in the documentary, they kind of lead you to believe that things weren't good with them, that she had been talking to an old friend and was saying, I want to leave him. I want to get away from him. He's abusive. We know about what happened, a few days or whatever before with the law enforcement pulling them over. And so I think she probably told him, you know what, when we get back to Florida, we're done. Mm-hmm. And he probably said, you know what, you're not going back to Florida. Mm-hmm. And he strangled her. And then he hadn't thought it out. He didn't know what to do. So now what do I do with the body? What do I do with her van?
Right.
Where does this go from here? But I thought one of the things that was really chilling about that documentary, and her family approved it, was they used artificial intelligence to read the diary that Gabby had on this blog and in her voice.
Oh, that was AI.
Yeah, that was AI.
Wow, that's scary. I didn't know that.
So can you imagine you're the family and they're reading this, that she's having a hard time, she's struggling, Brian's being all the things she said he was, and you're hearing it in what seemingly is just like your daughter's voice.
Mm-hmm. Traumatizing.
It could be cathartic too. I mean, they approved it for a reason. It could be cathartic.
It could be, but I would just think it's incredibly hard. This case generated a lot of attention with regard to domestic violence, but it also generated a lot of criticism to some degree, because a lot of people said this case got so much attention because Gabby Petito was white. Mm-hmm. She was Caucasian. And they said that
sounds like a Hispanic last name a little.
There were so many indigenous women in that area that had been missing and murdered, and they were not getting the same national attention as this one case did.
Yeah.
That's true, though.
Yep.
It is true.
And I remember the stepdad, I think, got a little offended when someone said that, but then he took some time to look into it, and he was like, you're absolutely right. And I think he dedicates a lot of his time now to helping other women of color who
especially
have not been found.
Especially in that area, and then north of there in Canada, there's a stretch of road, even a specific highway where tons of indigenous women have gone missing.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that probably spurred a lot of attention on this case was it was kind of a cross the nation kind of thing. You've got her family in one area, they're from Florida, this goes off to another area.
Right.
I think that played into it a little because you had all of the law enforcement from those different areas and the media in those different areas talking about it, and then the national media picked it up.
And
so I do
her
think
filming.
that played into it.
Her filming herself, too. It's kind of like a puzzle, oh, she filmed here last, she posted here last.
Well, that's initially how law enforcement was able to piece together where they were to some degree. Her, is it a blog or a vlog? It's a vlog, right? Her
Video
vlog,
blog,
the people that were watching that or that went back and looked at it after this all came out started to piece together her locations by the backgrounds of the videos she was making. Mm. And so they were trying to help solve, they were in this area. And then people would come forward, we gave Brian a ride. Right. I saw somebody slap this young girl. And that's how they were able to piece some of that together.
That's smart.
Yeah.
But I do think if they can take this case and shed light and attention on the other cases where there are other murdered victims, I think they need to do that, because domestic violence doesn't just affect one population or one nationality. It affects across the board.
Yeah.
And every victim deserves the attention to try to have their case solved.
How do we limit it, though? I mean, what are the genuine causes of it? Is it insecurity? Is it trauma? Is it obviously it's probably a multitude of things. Why do people feel the need to treat other people in these ways?
It's control. So a lot of people think that domestic violence is about anger. I lost my temper, so I smacked her. I lost my temper, so I strangled her. Domestic violence isn't about anger because they can control it. They can control it when they go to a restaurant inside. He didn't do the stuff inside. He did it outside when he didn't think anybody was watching. They don't do it at a job. They don't do it at church. They don't do it at school. They don't do it at the mall or, other places you might go. They do it in private because domestic violence really is about power and control and manipulation. But
what's the root of that? Is it insecurity?
On the part of the batterer?
Fear? Yeah. Is it insecurity? Is it fear? What is it?
It's all those things.
What's the root of it?
They want to be in control, and the minute they feel that the control is being challenged, they become violent. And if she was saying, I'm going to do this. And he says, I don't want to live like this anymore. And she says, fine, I'll do it myself. I'm okay with that. He might not have liked that. She might have said, we're done when we go back to Florida, and made that call where he didn't have a say in when that relationship ended. And he didn't like that.
But it's just, it's such a dramatic and drastic step to not like a situation and not just accept that it's ending, and to literally ruin your entire life and take someone else's life. Like, you took it that far because she wanted to break up with you?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know exactly what happened out there in the woods. There could have been more. Maybe he was abusive and she said, I've had enough. Maybe, who knows what actually might have happened. The only two people that really know are Gabby and him.
Sure, but even if she had done something that was like really triggering, like, oh, she was like, well, you know what? That night that you went and stayed in the shelter, like, I found someone that had sex with them. Like, even if she did something like that, that would be very upsetting. Like, that's still your reaction to kill someone and to ruin her life, to take her life, and then to ruin your entire life? Like,
so what you look for in a domestic violence relationship are something we call lethality factors.
the what?
Lethality factors,
Okay.
lethal.
Okay.
So you're looking for what could be lethal in that relationship.
Yep.
A lot of times it's breaking cherished items.
I've
It's
never heard that word, lethality.
No, me neither,
Lethality.
but it makes sense. Lethal.
Yeah,
It's using children against you if you have children. It's keeping them away from finances, from a vehicle, from isolating them from other people.
You're just describing Diddy.
Oh, I am, right?
Literally.
It's all connected.
But it's also one of the most critical times in a relationship that the lethality factors are highest is at the point of a breakup. And if that's what was happening, he might have also found her phone where she was texting. The friend that she had been texting that I've been talking about was an ex-boyfriend.
Okay, yeah.
And there wasn't anything in those texts that was romantic or whatever. She was leaning on him a little bit. He asked how things were, I think, and she said it's just not good. And he was encouraging her to maybe take a break and go back and see her family, right?
And that could be interpreted as like, oh, well, you
You're
want her
cheating
to,
on me.
you want her to break up with me so you can have a chance again.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But even if that's the case, you go that far. That's just so far.
But John, the
to
difference
take
is
it.
you're looking at this from a rational human being. People who do these types of things are not rational.
But it happens. It's common.
It is common. I've done a ton of domestic violence cases. I've done domestic violence murders, and it is a matter of, I'm going to show you the ultimate act of control. If I can't have you, no one will. You've heard that phrase. If I can't have you, no one will, and I'm going to make damn sure you're done, even if that means I ruin my own life doing it.
Yeah. OJ comes to mind.
OJ, Scott Peterson.
Scott Peterson.
Or
yeah.
he's living a great life outside of the country somewhere.
Which was a theory that I thought Myrene also subscribed to, which she was like, wait.
No, that's
She's
not
like,
my
"No,
theory.
that's
That
not
was
my
somebody
theory."
else's.
No, you thought that too,
I
right?
thought that, but
I thought she
think
said
how
that too.
she worded it and
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand now.
Is there anything else about this case or about domestic violence in general that we want to touch on before we
Well,
wrap
before
this
we
up?
move on from the case itself, do you think his parents should be charged as accessory after the fact?
Can you prove
Yeah.
it?
I think you can.
How would you? You're the prosecutor. You are a prosecutor. What do you do?
I think you show when he got back. You show that they kept him from law enforcement. You show that they helped him escape. And then you put that damn letter his mother wrote front and center.
Yeah. And you show that they didn't reach out to her family.
They didn't reach out to her. And her family called them repeatedly.
And they
wouldn't-
ignored.
They ignored
That's
them.
weird.
Because they knew. They knew she was dead, and they
Yeah.
didn't know what to say.
So you would charge the parents even though
In
you
a
can't prove
heartbeat.
it. And then they kind of knew how to find his body in the swamp. I
Yeah.
mean, you could say like
They knew exactly where
parental
he was.
instincts, but
Nah, I don't think so.
off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
tough.
And they made sure that I would argue they made sure that he put that diary of a confession as an accident in a waterproof pouch because that area was known or prone to flood.
Because it's a swamp.
Right.
Yeah.
And so anything in there was waterproof pouched, but there were other things in there that were ruined. Oh gosh, sorry. Might have been evidence, but didn't put those in a pouch.
Right.
Yeah. So is there precedent for parents being charged in a situation like this?
Yeah. It's accessory after the fact. They helped hide him. It's obstruction of justice. It's
So,
a whole plethora of things I could figure.
So you can think of specific cases where parents like helped a child cover up a murder.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we should talk about some.
We've had cases in Allegan County when I was there where a brother-in-law and sister helped a brother after the fact of a murder. So it's very similar to those things.
And what do those charges usually look like?
Accessory after the fact to a felony is a 5-year, potentially up to a felony, up to 5 years in prison. But
To 5 years?
Up to, but if
Okay.
you charge, it depends on how you charge it. There are different things. Tampering with evidence might be something else
How would
that
you
you
try
do.
to charge it in this case? I know there's a lot of details that you probably don't have access to, but like just based on what you know, how would you try to charge it in this case?
I would probably do 3 charges right off the bat: obstruction of justice, accessory after the fact of a felony, and destruction of evidence.
And you think you could win it?
You know what? Sometimes it's not about winning. It's about doing the right thing for the right reason. And if you can go in there and prove that, she deserves justice. And
Yeah.
those parents didn't do anything justice-wise. I get that that's their son.
But still,
I get that they still love their son.
You could win it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. For her, because it's the right thing.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and the parents are obviously involved in some weird way. I mean, that letter is just like, I get parents really love their kids unconditionally.
I get that.
But that letter's
would
so
you
weirdly
actually
specific.
write that
Yeah.
kind of crap in there? I have 4 kids. And if my kids came home and told me what they did, we'd be marching down to the police station. I'm not going to be writing in a letter. I'll bake you a cake and put a file in it.
Yeah.
My kids were a little nervous when they were younger because I always told them if you get in trouble when they were young, I'm like, A, call your dad first because I'm going to be really mad. And B, if you did something that you deserve to be punished for, I will take you to the juvenile detention center myself and sign you in.
I mean, that's fair. And you never had to, I bet.
I didn't.
Exactly.
And 2 of my daughters are lawyers. So
Oh, really?
And they're
Nice.
prosecutors.
Oh, see, there you go. You
Well,
even inspired them.
One is a prosecutor and one graduates next week.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
Love
thanks.
that.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you scared them into following your path.
No, they chose it all on their own. I never thought that that's what they would do.
Really?
Yeah. One
So
was,
you genuinely inspired them.
yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. Jokes aside.
Jokes aside.
There are lots of half the things I say are jokes, but yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting, and they are doing great on their own. And we're actually going to be in hopefully the same area, all 3 of us.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not probably for the defense attorneys, but you know, they'll have to decide
For justice.
which assistant prosecutor cook is nicer and which one is meaner.
They're like there's the demons. They're all
We're all sassy.
the 3-headed monster. It's like, oh God.
We're all sassy.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that.
It's okay. I can.
You can.
Yeah.
Do you hear that, Maggie?
Don't call out our people who stick up for me. That's not nice.
She doesn't know. I mean, people don't know who she is.
But she does,
She does, and she listens.
right? And she likes
And
me.
she just got a shout out. She's actually gonna love it. She's gonna be like, "No, me." Like she's gonna like it. And Hannah. Not that.
Anybody
Hannah.
else you wanna shout
Not that Hannah. No, Hannah. Maggie's roommate, Hannah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. 'cause
Is there anything else you guys have heard about this case or you thought from the documentary that we should talk about? I feel
mean-
like I'm missing something big and I
Really?
can't remember what it is.
Christina's theory of him living in
We've already talked
Central
about
America isn't big enough?
I don't think there's anything else. I mean, there wasn't like a trial or anything, you know. It was
No.
just
It was just seemingly
Manhunt,
like
kinda.
on the news all the
Right.
time trying to find her. And I do remember it was the stepfather who flew out to Wyoming while they were searching. And he was actually out there when they located her
Yeah.
body. And he had to make that call home. He did a conference call with his wife, her mom, and her dad and stepmom, and had to break the news that Gabby was found.
saving them from seeing her like that. I feel like is like a really nice thing of him to do, the stepdad to do. I know he cared and loved her too, but like for her mom,
I think he
don't
said
know.
that was the most excruciating thing he'd ever done in his life because they had to have a family member identify the best
Yeah.
they could. And I'm not sure if they were able to do that. I think they actually had to do dental records with her too.
Really.
Because she'd been out there for months.
Decomposition was yeah.
Well, in the middle of a
Months?
national forest with animals.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my god.
Yeah. The notebook was water damaged, I guess.
yeah.
Not enough
I'm
to
just
not
look-
be legible, right?
Yeah, no, they could still read it.
Yeah.
It just had like slight water damage.
Yeah.
She's even stranger to Myrene. She's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. She's like, I'm taking them down. All right. Is there anything else? If we missed whatever that important detail was that was on the tip of Myrene's tongue and you're screaming at your your phone or your laptop or however you consume this, let us know. Reach out. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, Behind the Verdict or BTV_pod.
And if you or yourself or know someone that is a victim of domestic violence, speak out, look for resources. There are plenty of places that can get help. You don't have to put up with that kind of behavior.
I love that. You can find us. Yeah. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.